Now, coverage you can count on. This is 12 News Now at 5.
Governor Raimondo announces almost all Rhode Island school districts can reopen for in-person learning. We're digging deeper into what this means for parents and students. Plus,
I heard one of the officers say, should we call the ambulance for him or should we throw him in the river?
A Target 12 investigators exclusive use of force. A local man relives the day he says he was beaten by police officers during an arrest. Plus, we review every city and town in Rhode Island, revealing how often police use force on civilians.
Oh, very comfortable day. A little hint of autumn in the air, especially early this morning. Your forecast coming up.
Nearly all school districts in Rhode Island can reopen for full in-person learning on September 14th. Good evening, I'm Mike Montecalvo.
And I'm Shannon Heggie. Governor Gina Raimondo made the announcement during her coronavirus briefing this afternoon. The governor says every district except Providence and Central Falls has met the 5 metrics needed to reopen this fall. 12
News reporter Steph Machado is live in Providence with details on these metrics and the date when all Rhode Island students are expected to be fully back in school. Steph?
Providence and Central Falls were the 2 cities that did not meet the COVID-19 metrics to reopen schools fully in person, but they can reopen partially. Governor Raimondo wants all the other school districts in Rhode Island to offer full in-person school at least by mid-October. Governor Gina Raimondo says every school district in Rhode Island other than Providence and Central Falls meets all 5 metrics to reopen fully in person on September 14th, while maintaining the option for parents to choose virtual learning.
And it is my expectation and our expectation and RIDE's expectation that that is exactly what you will do.
In Providence and Central Falls, neither city has fallen below the 100 case per 100 residents per week metric to reopen fully in person, but both can reopen partially. Providence, the state's largest school district, is planning to have all elementary school students come back, while middle and high schoolers will either start out fully distanced or alternating schedules. The state will reevaluate the COVID data in those 2 cities on October 13th to determine if they can bring back more students, potentially using different metrics.
We are going to start to focus a lot more on percent positive.
Not every district that is allowed to fully reopen is currently planning to do so. At least 3, Warwick, Pawtucket, and Cumberland, have voted to start school with full distance learning.
I am hopeful that some of these school committees who've made these decisions will now do the right thing and reverse those decisions now that we have this new information. If they don't, certainly they'll be exposing themselves to any number of lawsuits on behalf of parents.
The state's new guidance says districts can take 4 weeks to gradually ramp up to full in-person learning, but should get there by October 13th. And again, the option for virtual learning is still there for parents who are not comfortable sending their kids back to school. For example, in Providence, 6,500 kids have been enrolled in the Virtual Learning Academy, while the district believes about 8,500 will be in school in person on September 14th under their partial reopening model. Live in Providence, I'm Steph Machado, 12 News.
Steph, thank you. Meantime, state health officials have updated the list of who is and is not required to quarantine for 14 days when visiting Rhode Island. This list is updated weekly. You can see the very latest version on WPRI.com and our app. Now, a Target 12 investigators exclusive use of force.
They kicked me in the eye
While you were
on the ground. I got kicked in the eye. I was spit on.
For the first time, we're hearing from a man who says he was severely beaten by Providence police officers during an arrest in 2013.
And now we're taking a statewide look at how often police use of force on someone. Target 12 investigator Tim White has gathered years of data from every police department in Rhode Island.
And Tim, police officials tell us this has never before been done in the state.
Well, that's right, Shannon and Mike. This is a comprehensive review. And keep in mind, when it comes to use of force, police largely police themselves, and our research reveals the vast majority of the time the use of force is deemed justified by the department. In 2013, Joshua Robinson turned his car onto Eddy Street in Providence. He suddenly found himself boxed in by a Providence police detective who had previously arrested him on a drug possession charge.
Thought that I ingested some type of controlled substance.
Yeah.
So he ran up to the car and was trying to choke me.
He was choking you.
Choking me, yeah.
Court documents show police found no drugs on the scene and none were found in Robinson's system when he was later taken to the hospital.
He's choking me so hard on my neck. So I took his hand off my neck. I pulled it down, tried to get it off, and then he took his flashlight out and hit me right here.
Right on your eye.
Then blood started to come pouring down on my head.
This is Robinson's booking photo from that night.
I felt humiliated. You know what I mean? Like, you know, so.
What do you think when you see that image?
It's horrific. It's horrific.
Robinson stands only 5 feet tall. Records of the incident show 9 police officers responded to Eddy Street that night.
I was charged with simple assault on 2 police officers and resisting arrest. You know, it's different when you know you did something, you go to jail, you're like, oh, okay, I did something. But when you're in jail for something that you know you didn't do, and the fact that, you know, my face was beat up like that.
A jury would later toss the criminal case against Robinson. He sued the police, and the city eventually settled for $72,000. Despite that, the department's Office of Professional Standards reviewed the incident after a civilian complaint was filed by Robinson's girlfriend. Their conclusion, not sustained. In other words, the use of force was justified, according to police investigators. State and federal prosecutors agreed. Target 12 requested data from every department in Rhode Island, including the state police, seeking numbers on how often an officer self-reported using force on a civilian. Target 12 combined all the data and found force was used on someone in more than 8,600 instances between 2015 and 2019. The overwhelming majority of them, all but 4, were deemed justified after an examination by the police department. Does that number surprise you or sound about right?
Sounds about right. I believe we invest a lot in the training of these officers.
Cranston Police Colonel Michael Wingquist is on the executive board of the Rhode Island Police Chiefs Association. He and the group's executive director, Sid Wardell, say our findings ring true because civilian complaints against officers for excessive use of force are rare.
I think these are tough calls that officers make. The last thing they want to do is use force. Every time they use force, they risk their own personal safety, injury to themselves, and injuries to other people. So I think they're doing a great job. I think the training has come a long way in the last 30 years.
You know, I would put it out there to you, Tim, that I know the public sentiment right now, and I understand and I respect it, but I don't think anybody is hotter on law enforcement than the administration doing that doing that review.
For Robinson, this is the first time he has ever spoken publicly about the incident, and the first time, he says, he's been back to the scene where it happened. He was spurred to come forward and share his story after the killing of George Floyd, but yet he can't bring himself to watch the video showing the moments leading up to Floyd's death.
Me being a victim of police brutality, I can't watch that. You know, I tried, you know, I haven't got a chance to see it, to be completely honest.
It'd be too hard?
Yeah, it's just too much of it, you know?
Now, no officers were disciplined in the Robinson case. A spokesperson for the mayor's office says the city agreed to settle after weighing the facts and the extensive resources that go into a trial. With the Target 12 investigators, Tim White, 12 News.
Tim, thank you. Our investigation continues in 1 hour. We examine how body cams are reshaping how use of force incidents are being investigated. That's new at 6.
Now, a tragic story out of Jamestown. A teen has died after falling into the water off of Beaver Tail State Park. The victim, identified as 14-year-old Daniel Carrascosa. 12 News reporter Brittany Schaefer joins us now with what she's learned.
Rhode Island DEM spokesperson Michael Healy tells me the 14-year-old boy was out fishing with his family. He says the circumstances here are devastating. A 14-year-old Providence boy drowned Sunday after slipping on rocks and falling into the water at Beavertail State Park. The incident happened just before 6:30 p.m. According to the Department of Environmental Management, Daniel Carrascosa was fishing with his father and brother. They say the boy's father and two Good Samaritans jumped into the water and were able to get him. They started CPR until Jamestown Fire and EMS arrived around 6:25 p.m. After giving CPR, Jamestown first responders transported Carrascosa to Rhode Island Hospital, where he was pronounced dead after arrival. Carrascosa isn't the first person to drown off Beavertail State Park. In July of 2017, a 35-year-old man died there after a diving incident. And in September 2017, a 33-year-old man's body was found in the water by the state park. And in Monday's release, DEM says they realize how shocking and devastating the loss of a child is and offer their condolences to the boy's family. I'm Brittany Schaefer, 12 News.
Brittany, thank you. One man is facing charges after a protest outside the Providence Public Safety Complex last night led to a confrontation between demonstrators and officers. Police say about 50 people took to the streets outside demanding justice for Jacob Blake, who was paralyzed after being shot by police in Wisconsin last week. 41-year-old Matthew McCarthy is charged with disorderly conduct after crossing the protest line and coming into contact with officers. According to police, McCarthy refused to comply with orders given to him by police. Now your pinpoint weather 12 first forecast. Got up early this morning, Tony, to go water the garden. I don't know if that was a reality check or what.
Was it kind of like see your breath? I mean, it was just...
It was chilly out there this morning.
Yeah, temperatures starting off in the upper 40s, kind of that fallish feel. Recovering today to the low 70s. It's pretty nice right now. Take a look outside in Easton's Beach. We've got sort of that hazy sun cloud mixture, but no precipitation. And temperatures a little on the cool side. Even this afternoon, we did recover into the lower 70s. Not expecting any precipitation from these clouds. Will stay dry. Dew points are low. Humidity is comfortable. Readings down in the low 70s, including 73 in Providence. Low 70s along the coastline. Another great night for sleeping without the air conditioner. It looks pretty good. And these dew points are pretty low for late summer, in the mid-50s. That's refreshing. So we will set up for another cool and dry night. Nothing on Doppler radar. So heading out this evening, really the weather looks fine. We'll take a look at it hour by hour. 7 o'clock this evening, the temperature at 70. By 11 o'clock, we'll drop off to 63. But once again, late at night, early in the morning, we will head down into the 50s. I'll let you know when things warm up, when summer returns. The full forecast coming up in a little bit.
All right, thank you, Tony. Coming up on 12 News now at 5, you have noticed our new look. We're taking a look back in the past few months and show you the inner workings of our new studio and how it all came together.
Then new at 5:30, it's election eve in Massachusetts. We're catching up with the candidates ahead of tomorrow's primary.
Get more breaking news from the online leader, WPRI.com. Sponsored by Cardi's Furniture and Mattresses. Online or in stores, nobody beats Cardi's guaranteed lowest Nairobi prices. Nobody.
A smile has the power to get you feeling all right. At Aspen Dental, it's all